done for. Everyone get out.
Greetings sailors, welcome back to World of Warships, and this is actually the last of my CBT footage. This is going to be the Tier 5 Premium Destroyer, the pre-order one, the Gremyashchy, and I probably am saying that slightly wrong, but close enough. It's not a bad little ship, but we'll get to that in a moment. First off, I'm going to talk about replays, because I've had a couple of people send me World of Warships replays already, and at the moment I can't really do anything with them. I can watch them, but when it comes to recording them, I have a great deal of difficulty because the client kind of derps out after it's finished the replay when I'm recording. Doesn't matter what software I'm using. And because the client derps out, that then makes the recording software derp out, and the footage is useless because the recording software can't tie off the end, as it were, of the recording. It can't finish the recording properly. So I've tried multiple times with multiple replays, and it's just, I don't know. If there's a day when I desperately decide I want to do a replay that somebody sent me in, then I will give it a go. It's just, you have to stop the recording literally an instant before the replay finishes. And getting that timing just right is incredibly fiddly, so I'm really hoping they... I'm guessing it's just because everything's a bit rough around the edges in terms of the replay system at the moment. But anyway, I'm hoping they fix that, and that the replays end exactly the same way that World of Tanks wants to do. So on to the game at hand. This is the, like I said, Tier 5 Premium Pre-Order Destroyer. It's not bad. It's a lot closer in style to the American Tier 5 than the Japanese Tier 5. The range of the torpedoes is better. The rate of fire with the guns is actually better, but the turret traverse is slower. And when you're manoeuvring in a destroyer, turret traverse can be, well, it's the difference between life and death if you can shoot back at an enemy destroyer that's manoeuvring to get shots or torpedo shots on you, for instance. So this is all starting off reasonably okay. I've gone for the B point to either spot or try and cap, but there's a lot of stuff there, and this is the point where it all goes horribly wrong. Now, I had to repair my, I can't remember if it was steering or propulsion that flashed up just then, but I've been hit again, and it takes out my propulsion, and I've actually run aground as well. And I think it's the rear of my ship that's caught, because the front of my ship doesn't look like it should be. But I'm stationary, and there's at least 3 ships shooting at me right now, 2 of which are destroyers, which could pop off torpedoes at me at really any moment. So I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm dead. I'm just dead. I'm so dead that it's not even funny. Like, this is going to be the first 3 minutes of battle, and I've just died. But somehow it's not quite happening yet. Like, despite the fact that I popped off a smoke screen, which has maybe helped me a bit, I've been firing because I was convinced, well, I'm stationary, they know where I am, they're just going to keep hammering me. But somehow I have lived. I don't know. I can't explain it. So I'd pop off the torpedoes and then run away. And actually, although the torpedo reload on this is not particularly fast, you can see there it's about a minute, it's actually worth doing, even though it's not nearly as fast as, say, the Japanese destroyer torpedo reload. In a scenario like this where you're running away from a group of enemy ships, it's worth popping off those torpedoes. And most of the time they'll do nothing, but sometimes you'll get a lucky hit. And because it's not costing me anything, and there we go, there's the lucky hit. It's not costing me anything because I'm not likely to encounter something that I'm going to want to drop torpedoes at close range, then there's no reason not to do it. But it's a lot more of a strategy you want to use in the Japanese destroyers because they've got much better torpedo reloads. That's awfully close! It's awfully close there, Captain Jedi. Awfully close. Yes, not content with having somehow survived running aground and having my engine knocked out and being fired at by 3 different ships, I then contrived to almost but not quite sail into an enemy torpedo. That would have not gone well for me. Apparently, in this particular battle, I really wanted to live dangerously. And it's funny because the easiest class of ships to dodge torpedoes in is destroyers. So, yeah, maybe living a little bit too dangerously there, but anyway, okay. So I'm with a group of friendly battleships. There's also a cruiser here. As you can see, there are enemy cruisers on the sea point, and there's some destroyers kind of floating around in the middle somewhere as well. So I'm going to rely on my guns at this point. There's way too many friendlies around to be popping off torpedoes, even though I think that cruiser would just be about in range. But as you can see, the concentration of our forces seems to be north and south, A point and the C point. Well, I should say northwest and southeast. In the middle, we've got one enemy battleship, we've got a friendly cruiser, there's the destroyers are around there as well, somewhere. So I'm sticking with friendly ships. I'm just more acting as a fire support rather than herring off on my own. Because against Japanese destroyers, you can definitely outturn them with the turrets. But against the American destroyers, you really don't want to try it. But you can see here the rate of fire. I mean, the rate of fire on this thing is really pretty good. I possibly should have been firing AP against these cruisers. But, yeah, I don't know. HE, at least you get criticals, you set people on fire. So, HE is kind of like the safe choice for all scenarios. Although for battleships, you more or less, more often want to be... That was a very roundabout way of saying it. You more or less... You most of the time want to be firing AP in battleships. But I've kind of gone on the back burner with battleships. Like, I'm concentrating on cruisers and destroyers now that we've gone into OBT. And although I'm only as far as tier 3, well, I've spread myself across all the lines, so I'm not particularly pushing any one line. So this guy, he's pretty low health. I think that is a Japanese cruiser. In fact, yes, that is a Japanese cruiser. So not a lot of armor, not a lot of health. One good HE salvo should, in theory, get that guy. Maybe. I'm going to try my luck with... I'm just testing the range here. But I'm going to try my luck with dropping torpedoes anyway, because you never know when someone might drive in. Although, I think in that case, I was just maybe not paying attention to the fact that he was actually angling away. He's actually heading away from the cap now, because he knows this this Japanese cruiser is about to die. And if I'm lucky, there we go, I get the kill.
Enemy cruiser foundered.
So, he didn't want to be alone. Meanwhile, the enemy torpedo planes, because there are 2 carriers per team in this one, they are starting to take an interest up in this corner. So I've captured C, but we're about to get some attention from those torpedo bombers. And actually, this is very mercenary of me, but sticking near the battleships, those torpedo bombers are more likely to go for the battleships. But it also means I can give a little bit of air cover to the battleships, because although the anti-aircraft armament on this isn't particularly great, it's better than nothing. So this guy manages to easily sail through that salvo. That was dropped rather... dropping them onto a head-on, well... It's an American battleship as well. They have better maneuverability, but even so, not the best way to drop your torpedoes. But it's given him a bit more time, and I decide actually I'm going to pop off another smoke screen at this point to maybe give him some cover as well. And if he hasn't used all his hit point repairing ability already, which he's unlikely to have by this stage of the battle, then this might buy him enough time to pop it off again, get a few more hit points back. But the enemy torpedo planes, the enemy carrier drivers know exactly where we are, and I've just spotted that. So that's a destroyer. So that enemy battleship looks like it's coming this way as well, but the destroyer is the more immediate concern, and I just decide, okay. Again, I think he's gonna dodge these, but it's worth putting them out just in case. So one of the things, you'll notice the smoke screen's only just finished. Like one of the big changes, well, there were many big changes between OBT and CBT, but in OBT they significantly nerfed the duration of the destroyer smoke screens, and I don't know, maybe they were a bit over nerfed. I suspect it's one of these things that we'll see in time. Like they will, as they do with World of Tanks, every time there's a patch they'll bounce things a bit here and bounce things a bit there. So anyway, meanwhile, one of those torpedo spreads actually did hit, and it only took one torpedo to bring down that enemy destroyer. I'd already damaged him a bit with my HE shells, so that and I don't think he was full health anyway, so one torpedo hit was more than enough. And most destroyers have little enough health that one torpedo hit is all it takes, even if they're full health. Especially if you're firing torpedoes at a lower tier destroyer. And I'm not sure if that guy was. Anyway, this battleship's not going to last too much longer, so again firing a spread of torpedoes against the enemy Wyoming there. It isn't particularly fast, but I let them go maybe a little early because you could just about see the lead target marker, the indicator, just shifting as I let those torpedoes go. So if I'm lucky, maybe one or two of them will catch. I think the first spread's probably going to miss entirely, but I might get one of the second spread. And it'd be useful because he's got a lot of health left. Meanwhile, I can try and pepper him with HE, more in the hope of setting him on fire than anything else, because if I set him on fire and he fixes that and then starts flooding, flooding does a lot of damage. So that's a good tactic in a destroyer. If you're sure you're not going to immediately get focused down by... Oh, hello. Yes, that carrier's paying a bit of attention to me. Focused down by whatever you're firing at. If you can set the target on fire before your torpedoes get there, they put out the fire, and then, hey presto, there's flooding. Sometimes that flooding can be enough to knock them out entirely. So I'm looking to make another drop, but that guy's taken a Citadel hit or something. Like, he lost a lot of health. So he's been not only unable to kill our, I think it's in New York, the closer battleship, but he's actually managed to lose most of his own hit points in the meantime. He does, however, finally make the kill of the friendly battleship, and at this point I pop off my smoke because his guns are still pointed in my direction, and yeah, I've got some time before he reloads, but I don't know, better safe than sorry, I think. He is himself now the focus of the remaining battleship that's coming up behind. I say remaining battleship on this flank. And there's also another destroyer, which is actually another Gremyashchy closing up behind him as well. So he gets taken out. And I don't know how he managed to not kill the other battleship, the friendly one, for such a long time. But at this point, it looks like we're winning. So I have put my defense guns to prioritize that particular group of planes rather than the fighters, but to no avail, unfortunately. That other battleship, very low health, and that spread is going to take him out. But we're down to one enemy destroyer and one enemy aircraft carrier. And I could try and put out torpedoes against this guy, but that other Gremyashchy is a lot closer, so I'd run the risk of accidentally torpedoing him. And I've already had enough derp in this replay, thank you very much. So instead I content myself with HE shells, trying to set him on fire, and just get a bit more damage, because it looks like the other Gremyashchy's closing to practically point-blank range before he actually drops any torpedoes. He's taking absolutely no risks. He's going to ram these torpedoes right down his throat, practically. So, yeah, he's not dodging that. He really isn't. Bam, bam, bam. There we go. And it's down to just that destroyer. So it actually... I mean, in terms of hits, in terms of torpedoes, it's not been that great of a game, but I thought it was just very, very entertaining. And there we go. He's made the exact same mistake I made at the very start of the match. We've ended how we started, with a destroyer going aground, except this time we're not going to let him live. He keeps popping in and out of concealment, which means I'm having to manually adjust my aim a lot here, which is a little bit of a pain. But anyway, if I'm lucky, that will finish him off, and it does, so I get the final kill. Very nice. So, that was a pretty derpy game, and it was probably one of the most ridiculous starts to any World of Warships game I've had so far. Not the most ridiculous end, however. I did have one carrier game where I basically shot down the entire complement of enemy carrier planes, and then got to ram another aircraft carrier in my aircraft carrier. That was very silly indeed. Unfortunately, wasn't recording at the time, didn't have replays enabled, so oh well, that one's lost to the mists of time. But in this game, I actually ended up with the top score on the team. Not sure how, but I did. And as you can see, the other Gremyashchy did very well. Only, less than 200 points behind me. So that was pretty decent. The amount of credits I made was pretty decent, as you'll see. And one of the things with this game is that the base XP can be a lot higher than World of Tanks, so you can do very, very well indeed. But damage-wise, it wasn't that much. I mean, 17,000 damage torpedoes, 27,000 damage out of HE shells fired. And I think it was exclusively, yeah, it was HE. It didn't feel like that much, but without a premium account at the time, that was enough to make those credits, make that XP, and just, I don't know, it was silly. It was very, very silly indeed, and I'm kind of glad I bought this thing. Out of all three that I looked at, the Ubari, this, and the Sims, this is the one I kind of settled on going for, and I'm glad I did. None of the other two really grabbed me, but this one looked good, and I am now glad I went for it, because you can't buy it anymore. Although, maybe you'll be able to in the future. I don't know. Wargaming have been dropping hints about the possibility of some of these pre-order ships possibly, like, maybe they're sort of, how is it they put it with like, video game consoles? Video game consoles, what am I, from the 1980s? Timed exclusive, so it might be that we pre-orderers get to enjoy this as an exclusive ship for, say, I don't know, a year or 18 months, and then it goes on sale. And they're kind of hinting they might do that with World of Tanks as well, because there were also pre-order ships for World of Tanks, pre-order tanks for World of Tanks way back in the day. And I think it's always bugged Wargaming that they have these premiums sitting around that hardly anyone's playing, but they are taking up space in the data files. And so that's kind of, you know, money left on the table as far as Wargaming is concerned. So maybe, we'll see. I don't know. You might get an opportunity to buy these at some point. So there will be definitely OBT footage at some point. In the meantime, don't feel too discouraged from sending in replays. I might have another go at recording WoW's replays, but it's less likely that I will put up viewer WoW's replays until they make that particular fix. But if you enjoyed this particular game, well, you can do the usual things. You can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.